Today I'll be reviewing a 2023 Cadillac Escalade V Series. Now the V Series is the performance variant of the Escalade, and in my opinion, this is one of the wildest SUVs I've ever tested. Under the hood, you get a 6.2 liter supercharged V8 producing 682 horsepower, making this the most powerful full-size SUV you could buy today. Out back, you get a very customizable exhaust system. You could tune it to be quiet, or you could tune it to sound like an open exhaust, which makes this V Series sound like a screaming race car when you floor it. But there's so much more. So in this review video, let me tell you everything there is to know about this brand new Escalade V Series so you can decide if this is the right SUV for you. All right, let's get started. Now to get started, let's talk about the exterior. This current generation of Escalade, in my opinion, looks fantastic. It looks high-end, luxurious, but also menacing and mean. But this V Series just takes it up a notch or two or 10. This is a really good looking SUV in my opinion. If you look up front, it definitely looks different. That huge grille specific to the V Series makes this Escalade even more menacing. And of course, everything is now blacked out. There's no chrome anywhere. Everything is either smoked or blacked out. And against this radiant red color, it really pops. I love it. I love the way the big, bold grille is up front with a big Cadillac emblem in the middle, right? How they flow into the sleek looking headlights. I mean, the front end is as aggressive as you can pretty much make this Escalade, and I really do like it. Now, if you move to the side, you know, the profile, of course, looks like an Escalade. What's different about this V Series, of course, are the wheels. 22-inch wheels, specific to the V Series. The tires are different. They're made to be more performance-oriented because this is a V Series. And you could see those big, bold, red brake calipers behind the wheels. I love them. The brakes have been upgraded. It's hard to see, but the brakes are much bigger. The rotors and the calipers, right? And also the suspension has been changed as well. More sport oriented. So there's a lot of stuff underneath that you can't see that's hidden, but yeah, there's a lot that has changed with the V Series. Out back is the same thing. There's no chrome anywhere. Everything is either smoked or black. And of course, you can't miss those exhaust tips. Yes, with the V Series, you get quad exhaust tips, and they are not just for show. Every time you start up this V Series, wow, it wakes up the neighbors. And every time you floor it, wow. If you are a car guy, if you like V8 throaty exhaust, this is one of the best I've ever heard in any car I've tested. That's how good it is. Now, because this is a V Series, of course, you got some serious power under the hood. I already mentioned it at the beginning of this video, 6.2 liter V8 supercharged. So normally, Escalade gets around 420 horsepower, which is not bad at all. It actually makes the Escalade really quick. But this one is just quicker because now you put the supercharger on and you get 682 horsepower and 653 pound-feet of torque. This is a tremendous engine. It is really fun and could propel this Escalade, this huge full-size SUV, to do 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. 4.4 seconds in this very huge full-size SUV. It's quite amazing. And I already talked about the sound, how good this V Series sounds, and that's because this is using a big V8 under the hood. No, it's not a small turbocharged 4-cylinder or turbocharged 6-cylinder. The formula is quite simple. Stuff a big thirsty V8 under the hood, give this V Series a really loud and nice sounding exhaust. That's it. Next, let's talk about the ride. So how good is this Escalade V Series? Well, this Escalade is a luxury SUV, so it does ride very well. I would say overall, cabin noise, very, very quiet with the exception of exhaust, which is good. I mean, you really don't hear anything outside. This is really, really well insulated. I love the commanding view because it's a full-size SUV. You're as high as a pickup truck, right? You get a commanding view of the road. Everyone seems so tiny out there, and visibility all around is great. Big windows all around, right? Of course, blind spot monitoring is included, but even out back, you get a digital rear view mirror in case, you know, the second or third row passengers block your view, right? But I love the commanding view and the sitting position. Now, as for these seats, these big, beautiful seats, they look great. I love the white piping with the beautiful black leather, right? They feel very comfortable. They're not very aggressive. I will say that. They're not very aggressive. I do float around a little bit when I'm making turns or bends, so that's the thing, but they're comfortable. Not the most comfortable seats. They're comfortable and they look great. Up front and in the second row, and third row is not bad either. I'll get to space in a little bit, but in terms of comfort, I think good, adequate. Now, because this is a very high riding and heavy SUV, I do feel a lot of body roll. Several times when I made sharp turns or, you know, big bends, I do feel more body roll in here. Even though I'm sure Cadillac already tuned this V Series with sport suspension, also has magnetic ride and air suspension. I mentioned those things, right? But there's only so much you could do with physics, right? This is just a very tall riding, very heavy SUV. I mean, they did what they can, but you still feel a lot of body roll. But, you know, if you're not making sharp corners or bends and taking twisties, the suspension is very comfortable. I have driven over a few big potholes and imperfections, and the suspension does soak all of them up very, very nicely. The steering is also good in my opinion. The steering wheel, first of all, I think is fantastic. I love the look. I love the thickness, right? This is a V Series steering wheel, so there's a little V on the bottom, right? But overall, I think this is a good looking steering wheel, feels great. You have paddle shifters in the back in case you wanted to shift manually. You have a few buttons that's pretty easy to figure out, your safety systems and your media, stuff like that, right? Your heated steering wheel. But as the steering feel, you can adjust it. In sport mode or V mode, you can adjust your steering. In tour mode, you can dial it back a little bit. But overall, I feel like the weight to it is quite nice. I like the weight. There's not a whole lot of steering play, so the steering is quite precise. So I think this is a good balance. It's not overly heavy either. I kind of expected in V mode with steering all the way up that it would be even heavier. It is heavy, but not nearly as heavy as, say, I just tested a Mazda CX-5 recently. As for space, expect a lot of it. This is a full-size SUV, and plus, Cadillac then moved to an independent rear suspension for this generation, which made the rear more usable. And you can tell right away, behind the third row, still plenty of room. And you have switches to fold down the third row and second row. So pretty big on the inside. And if you fold down all the rows, of course, you have a ton of cargo room. And I love how all the seats are completely flat. So you get plenty of cargo room, and also for passenger room. Even in a third row, as an adult, I'm 5'10", I can fit comfortably. The seats are a little bit closer to the ground than I would like, but overall it's pretty comfortable back there. You do get one USB port and some cup holders, and that's pretty much it. Unfortunately, you don't get sunshades, and there's no heated option back there, so you're limited to those things. Getting out of the third row is extremely easy. There's a button on the side, you press twice, one time to fold down the second row and one time to fold it up. So getting out of the third row is extremely easy. Of course, you could go in between the captain chairs too. That makes it even easier. The second row is just really enormous. When the seats are all the way to the back, you can see I have 8 inches at least of leg room. 3 inches of headroom. It's just really spacious. Passengers in the back get heated seats, climate control, and a whole bunch of ports and plugs to keep them entertained. And of course up front, plenty of headroom and shoulder room and hip room. I will say the center console is quite wide. So I don't know why it needs to be this wide. If it was a little bit narrower, you would get even more hip and leg room, but it is what it is. It does look nice though. It does look nice, and there's plenty of space for all of your things up here. Now, as for features, there are so many. It's hard for me to think of anything that's not inside this V Series. You pretty much get everything that's available under the roof inside this cabin. Let me run through them really quickly. For starters, you do get a 38-inch curved OLED screen. It's really 2 screens, one stacked on top of each other, and it works really, really well. The one in front of you, the digital gauge cluster, I love the way it looks. The interface is simple, it's clean, and it's really bright in your face. I love how on the left side of the screen, you could toggle between your trip computer. Also, you could change up your gauge cluster. For example, if you wanted your augmented reality camera system to show up, you could select that. You could also select night vision, which is available with this V Series, but I can't show you because it's not night out. You can also have your maps displayed or just your normal gauge cluster. And you can also control your heads-up display. I love how there's a dedicated section for it for brightness and height. So I love that little screen on the left. But I also like the middle screen, and I love the main screen used for your infotainment. Of course, you could use your fingertips. It's very responsive, very bright, and there's a plethora of menus to go through to check out whatever you want. You can control the rear climate, you could go into your Wi-Fi hotspot, navigation, audio, of course, those kind of things. You could also go into your OnStar, Alexa, there's ambient lighting, camera system, and when you go into camera, you get a ton of views. Out front, you could have a normal wide overhead or even side front view, but of course you could also select the rear, same thing. You could select the 3D overhead, which gives you a 360 view of what's around your Escalade, right? There's so many things you could choose from, but you know what? It's one of the best systems I've ever tested. It's still clean and easy to use. And if you didn't want to use your fingertips, there is a rotary dial and some quick menu buttons you could use to scroll very quickly. And there is a dedicated volume knob in case you're wondering. It's right above that knob, so it is there. So I don't know if you consider that 1 screen or 2 screen, but that's only the beginning. The rear view mirror also has a screen. You can see what's behind your Escalade very clearly. Very nice. I did mention about the heads-up display, which is fully color. So that is also very unique. If you move out back, you'll see 2 more screens. They're part of the rear entertainment system that you get inside this V Series. So both of your kids or rear passengers, they could watch TV. They could go on Hulu, YouTube, whatever, right? There is a data plan that you can subscribe to. So pretty much anywhere you go, you can watch and entertain yourself or your family or your passengers. That's awesome. You also get wireless headphones too, so it doesn't disrupt the speaker up front. So you could listen to the radio or satellite radio, and the kids or passengers out back can still listen to what they're watching. That's fantastic. Now, I just mentioned about sound. Inside this V Series, you get upgraded sound system, the AKG sound system. Normally in Escalade, you get 19 speakers. Inside this V Series, you get 36 speakers. Yes, 36 speakers all around. So you're getting some crazy surround sound in here. That's another feature that you get. You also get driving modes. You get Tour, Sport, Snow, Ice, Tow Haul, and My Mode. And My Mode allows you to customize a little bit. But you could tune everything else. So if you wanted to have heavy steering, but light suspension, right? Or you wanted the engine or the all-wheel drive system to behave a certain way, you can. So the V mode is specific to the V Series. I love the way you can configure the exhaust sound. It makes a big difference when you go stealth versus sport, which is basically open exhaust. Now, this V Series also comes with air ride suspension, which means you get smoother travel on the road, plus you can adjust the height. There are dedicated buttons on the left side of the steering wheel. So in case this is too high, you can lower it down. In case it's too low or you want to go off-road and you want to lift it up, you can. But in addition, you also get the magnetic ride suspension, which uses magnets and adjusts the shocks like 1,000,000 times per minute so that you get ultimate smoothness on the road. Not only that, you get electronic locking rear differential because this is a performance Escalade. Yes, that sounds weird, but you get electronic locking rear differential, so it maximizes power when you need it. Also, inside the armrest, you get a cooler box that's built in. And there's 2 modes, depending on how cold you want your drinks to be, either 43 degrees or 27 degrees, and you can fit up to 6 cans in there. That's awesome. Other features that you'll find inside a luxury vehicle like this: heated and ventilated seats up front, heated seats in the rear, also heated steering wheel. You get home link buttons and a giant panoramic sunroof on top. Are there any negatives to this V Series? Well, there's a few. Considering this is a full-size luxury SUV in a price range of 6 figures, right? There are a few things to nitpick on. For starters, the third row. If you fold down a third row from the cargo area, of course, you have those switches, right? But the third row, it gets stuck often. If the second row is leaned back or too far back, the third row will get stuck. For example, in a GLS, if you fold down the third row, it will automatically move up the second row. So the third row folds down and then it moves the second row back. It doesn't do that in this Escalade, right? So that gets annoying. So that's number one. Number 2 is the sliding function in the second row is all manual, right? Unlike others in this class, like a GLS or a X7, they have power functions. And also, they have the ability to add on, say, cooling function in the second row, or even heated function in the third row. Those things are missing from this Escalade V Series. Again, I'm nitpicking, but it's because this is in the same price range and in the same class, so unfortunately, little things like that are missing. Also, strangely enough, sunshades are missing. None in the third row, which I can understand, but none in the second row either, which is really strange. I thought there may be power functions, and I couldn't find them, but no, there's no sunshades in the second row either. And this wireless charger setup, it's very hard to stick your phone in. They made it really difficult to stick larger phones in there. I would have preferred just some kind of pad that you could throw your phone on and call it a day. This one, you gotta like really jam it in there. And it's hard to pull out too. So the way they designed this wireless phone charger, not the best. One other negative is the fuel economy, because Cadillac did not opt for a hybrid setup or some kind of plug-in hybrid setup or any kind of EV setup. This big supercharged V8 is very thirsty. So overall combined, expect 13 miles per gallon. But in reality, because of how much you're likely going to floor it all the time, expect about 10 to 11 mpg. So that's another thing. Fuel economy kind of sucks. Now, in terms of pricing, a normal Escalade starts around $80,000 for the base trim and tops out around $110,000. This V Series, though, goes way above it. A V Series starts above $150,000. So there's a huge jump from, let's say, the top trim level of an Escalade to the V Series. So keep that in mind. But of course, you're getting things that you're not going to find in a regular Escalade. So you have to decide if the performance and the looks and the extra features inside this V Series is, of course, worth it to you. So to conclude, am I a fan of this V Series? Yes, and again, yes. I'm a big sucker for V8s. I love big, throaty V8s, and that's what you get with this V Series. Not only a big, powerful V8, a supercharged one, close to 700 horsepower. What's not to love about that? And to complement that and the speed, oh my God. Oh my God. It's the sound. The sound is amazing. It sounds like a race car in here. Especially if you tune it to sport engine sound, which is the V Series sound. I mean, no joke, that's how good this V8 sounds. It just makes you want to just floor it every chance that you get. It is that good. So I am a big fan of this SUV. I think it's great for families, obviously, because you could fit as many people as you want in here. You could haul as much as you want in here, right? You get all the latest technology that I already mentioned, and it drives great besides the performance, but it drives overall really good, really quietly. So I'm a big fan. This is just such a fun and fantastic performance luxury full-size SUV. So what are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments below. Smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for my future review videos. Take care. Bye-bye.